There's a lot of like kind of really digging into the old Mortal Kombat games as far as getting, we really love the novelty of it. We really want the cameo characters to feel, kind of nod to the old games.
This is one of the things people most wanted me to talk about. Where do I stand on cameos? Fun fact, when M1K was first announced, I thought it was a 2v2 tag theme like an MK9. There's actually an old video of mine somewhere around here where I get that wrong and everything else right. Fun fact number 2, my opinion on cameos evolved the complete opposite direction compared to most people. Because most people hated the very idea of it, but then some warmed up to it over time and more cameo defenders started to crop up. I was the opposite. I gave cameos a chance initially and didn't necessarily understand why people hated them that much. But then I fell off of MK12, and once I returned to it sometime later, I realized, oh, there are now a half dozen extra cameos, and they have their own meta, and I now need to not only learn my character, but learn my cameo too, to decide which cameo to pick first of all, then practice the cameos, practice against other cameos, learn how to fight all the different character cameo permutations. Never mind, there's pretty much only 3 cameos that dominate the meta at all times. Okay, let's pick one of those. Never mind, they all cost money, and it just got to the point where fucking shit, man, I can't keep up. I don't want to keep up, and I'm not nearly even the most casual player out there, so you can imagine how badly this registers for literal newbies. That's one thing, well, a laundry list of things, but here's another. Since when do cameos turn throws into combos? Or mix your opponent, or break armor, or extend combos like crazy? These motherfuckers do everything. What the hell do the main fighters do? As it turns out, not much. Mostly just the strike throw bullshit from MK11 with some mix-ups here and there.
Cameos, because we saw some pretty amazing stuff there. Now, so tell us, how does that work?
In a fighting game, you'll see a roster, basically, where you select your character. After you do that, there's a second roster of characters, which are a whole new, completely different fighters that are the cameo fighters. And these fighters actually, they will join the fight. But they,
a lot of blank squares there.
Yes.
Everyone, and this truly irks me, everyone hated variations so much. They neutered the characters, they said. They oversimplified them, removed too many basic tools, and the characters are shallow shells of themselves. Well, what the fuck do you call this? The irony is that the stifled characters of MKX still had access to way more tools and options than most of these ragdolls. Never mind the fact that if you wanted Raiden with a teleport, you could just pick Displacer and get it on steroids, but any of these 3 variations for most of the cast presented you with more options and a much more varied playstyle and freedom of movement and creativity and high skill ceiling than the whole of Mortal Kombat 12. And at least MKX didn't delegate all this stuff to insipid action figures that you don't even pilot. It's all within the main character, it adds to the main character's appeal, and it makes the main character more complete than any of these fools ever will be. And speaking of action figures you can't even pilot, if you saw Serena in the promos and got excited to finally have her in the game and play as her, you can eat a bag of dicks cause she's just a cameo, bruh. Cause we thought it'd be cool to at least include her as that. Well, it's not cool. This practice, along with the rest of the game, just comes across as half-assing it.
Cameos as a concept was always extremely half-baked. What the game is trying to teeter the line of staying a 1v1 game, but not entirely being a 1v1 game, trying to like teeter this line of we're gonna do this MK9 tag game situation, where we're not gonna have the tagging, we're still gonna have the bonus extra character, but you don't have to play them completely. They were really trying to ride this line of making that acceptable.
I still don't understand why throw combos are a thing. I keep coming back to that. Everyone can do a 24% damage command grab now? Why? How does this enhance diversity of play styles? Why do cameos do everything in this game? Why do I have to learn 2 metas now instead of 1? Why are most of them blocked behind a paywall? Why does a character entering the ring to bitch slap a fighter then running away like a timid schoolgirl bother no one else visually and logically? And why is there no standalone mode where you can play without the cameos? I'll tell you why. Because the main characters are hollow puppets. A standalone mode would draw attention to how insipid they are, and you'd immediately realize how boring each of them are to play. And the irony is that even with that, people would still choose to play the main insipid characters rather than give the cameo mode the time of day. So they also didn't include it because it would make all the cameo work wasted effort.
I was caught off by surprise that there was actually this cameo system, because I actually did the character assist modifiers in Injustice 2, but those were just like projectiles that came off the screen. That's where this system kind of I guess got more life was because of that. I was one of the designers that was like, I'm going to design the characters as a complete character, because we also had discussions too where it was just, oh yeah, MK11 kind of felt like they weren't complete, where you had to like actually pick and choose your gear pieces to activate that special or to switch out this special. And we did see some of those comments of like, we just want a more complete fighter. And so that's what I thought we were going to do in MK1. Wow. And then when we started hearing about the cameos, it's like, well, then that kind of doesn't make it a complete fighter, because there's 16 cameos. So your character could technically have 16 different variations.
Suddenly, it makes sense why these things look like one of those wacky, half-baked challenge tower things from previous games. Because that's exactly what they are. How can we take something that we already did and put it in a game we already made based on another game we already made, which is a repeat of the initial game we made, and market it as this new old thing,
Brand new Mortal Kombat.
so we can work the least and profit the most? It's great as a secondary or a tertiary mode of play, but not as the main thing. And as a secondary mode, yes, that's where you can have all this fun with the cast, with the older versions of the cast, with the guest characters, all this craziness. And going back to the immersion thing real quick, I'm curious if this is just a me thing. I genuinely find it stupid looking when some random person barges into the ring, haymakers one of the fighters, or tosses a grenade in their face and runs off like a heckler breaking into a stadium, flashing his cock in front of the players, then speeding off before the guards catch up to him. I honestly can't think of a single way to MacGyver cameos to make sense in even a semi-realistic format or a live-action setting. Cameos were a dumb idea. I think 10 years down the line, when people revisit these older games, they might make a quick pit stop and mess around with this game for 15 minutes before moving on. They might even acknowledge that, gimmicky as it was, it's cool that it exists in the annals of the franchise's history, but by and large, I think most people can't wait to forget about it. Like that one classmate you claim you'll keep in touch with after you finish high school, but in reality you can't wait to finish high school so you never have to see the fucker again. So yeah, even though I was relatively warm to cameos initially and gave them the benefit of the doubt, after understanding how they changed the game, I can't wait to never hear of them again. But there is a universe where cameos are a good idea and can be implemented well. Tag team. That's how you implement them well. That's it. In all honesty, it always seemed to me like the original plan was to actually do that, to do a full-on tag team mode or something more elaborate at least. But halfway through, they just gave up or got some budget cuts or time constraints, so they just left it at cameos. Oh well, live and learn. Or just live if you're in Netherrealm. Special thanks to Sir Hishin and Clocks, as well as my other members, for supporting the channel.